So I'm going to go right into the presentations. How this will work is you will hear from each company for 10 minutes. They will tell you just a little bit about themselves, but their presentations will be focused on a hypothetical advertising campaign. That's the whole point of ad tech, is really to show what different companies can do for brands and marketers. So each company is going to show what they could do with a hypothetical $500,000 campaign. So you can really get a sense of what they're all about. And then our judges are going to weigh in. And then while the judges are doing their final decision making, you in the audience will have about 5 minutes to ask questions. And then the winner will be announced today, right here at 5 o'clock. Priya, take it away.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me? Hey. So hi, my name is Priya Narasimhan. I'm with a company. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called Yincam. For those of you who aren't from Pittsburgh or don't have relatives from Pittsburgh, Yins is a shortened form of y'all. It's you-uns and it becomes Yins. So that's one of my goosebumpy pictures. What I mean by that is it's one of the most memorable moments in our company's history. Stanley Cup Finals 2009, 3 different camera angles, 3 different kinds of smartphones streaming the game live while we're inside the arena. So let me tell you my journey a little bit. This is Mellon Arena, the ex-home of the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I fell in love with sports once I moved to Pittsburgh. Started watching a lot of hockey, started watching a lot of football. Didn't watch either of those sports until I moved there, unfortunately. Would always go to a lot of games, get cheap nosebleed seats. I still do. And there'd always be a tall guy who stood up in front of me who cut off my view of the goal or the touchdown. That ticked me off. So I had a personal problem with this that I wanted to go after solving, and what I wanted was the ability to control the game on my own time, like I did at home. When I sit at home on my couch, I control how I experience the game. I can DVR it. I can do all kinds of things with it. I wanted that intimacy even when I was in the arena. So what we did was we essentially started about 3 years ago, piloted this with the Pittsburgh Penguins. We got access to all those camera angles you see there with the little red arrows. So the camera angles underneath the Jumbotron, home bench, rival bench, broadcast cameras, the net cameras, and we were able to stream this to fans who could then catch any one of these camera angles live on their smartphones throughout the game. And the best part is you could also have instant replays, about 15-second instant replays. Immediately after the action happened on the ice, you'd get instant replays from all these different camera angles, again sent to your smartphone. So if there was a controversial call, you could catch it on your smartphone. That was the principal idea, right? So what is Yincam? We do a lot of things for fans. For fans, it's an experiential in-stadium mobile experience, unique live camera angles. Think camera angles that follow, star player, the goalie, the quarterback, whatever you want. Automated instant replays about 2 to 4 seconds after something has happened on the field or the ice. Interactive concession stand and service maps, so you can also find out where to get that beer. In fact, fans have asked us for a beer finder. We built a beer finder in there. Plus, out-of-stadium live stats, news, photos, podcasts. We think like fans. We operate like fans. So our product reflects that mentality. For sports teams, stadiums, and sponsors, it's an additional new source of revenue. Believe it or not, even hockey as a fast game has dead game time. So you're really giving sponsors and brands the opportunity to monetize that dead game time and engage fans while they're sitting in their seats. This is a captive audience that has nothing to do during dead game time. You're giving them that opportunity. Build brand loyalty and expand and engage the fan base. Here are some of our products. The team mobile app, it's again on different platforms. We have access to the NFL as well as the NHL official stats engines, which give us the stats, 2 to 4 seconds after something has happened. These are the official stats engines. Shoulder content outside the stadium, so video on demand, breaking news, rosters, statistics, injury reports, you name it, all that stuff outside. And live content only inside the stadium because we have to respect broadcast rights. Folks like Fox and others have rights to all the live game footage outside of the stadium, so we have to respect that. Things like NFL Red Zone. We also have a real-time analytics dashboard, which I'll show you in a minute, and also a sponsor-advertiser dashboard, so sponsors and advertisers can customize exactly what's seen here. Here's our NHL Team mobile app, the different features, scores, players. You can pull up a deck of replays. You can see the 4 different camera angles. You just kind of thumb through all these to switch between different camera angles during the game. Here's the NFL one. Here's the one for the Falcons, who happen to be one of our clients. Box scores, drive by drive. You can see if it ended up in an interception, fumble, touchdown. Depth chart. You can click on each position and pull up players at different positions. Different channels, including the red zone, and again, live camera, live video. So you have the ability to be able to do all this in-game as well as outside the game. An in-venue facility app. We did this for Verizon Center. We're doing it for other facilities. The ability to locate, again, this is your beer finder, right? This is your burger finder. The ability to locate various concessions in real time, see them on a map, punch in your seat location, or if we have ability to identify the seat location, if there's enough Wi-Fi, find the route to your nearest beer or the beer of your choice. And again, the ability to report different kinds of issues, whether, a stand has run out of ketchup, whether there's a spill on the floor, be able to do customer service things, as well as scan things like QR codes on the program booklet and around the Hall of Fame and other places inside the stadium. Okay, we also did something called Rock Your Jersey, where we let fans show their fan pride. So every one of those little thumbtacks that you see up here is a fan somewhere around the world declaring whether they wore a blue, yellow, or white Penguins jersey for that particular game. And we'd order by the number of jerseys, and this was actually sponsored by somebody. And you can see a zoomed-in close-up look. And you can also see the worldwide look, including some of our veterans over in Afghanistan and Iraq who were actually watching the Penguins game and rocking their favorite jerseys during that game time, which is kind of cool to see. We have a real-time analytics dashboard. You can't see the font. That's not intentional, I assure you. You can come in and peer at this up here. Breaks down the types of phones that hit our system. This is all real-time. The number of views, number of unique users, the top pages, the top quarters, the top phones, the top videos, the top replays watched that night. And this is all in real time. And this is actually used to change up the ads in real time automatically. Okay? So let's look at the marketing campaign, which is why I'm here. We picked a brand, Dick's Sporting Goods, because we had worked with them before. We picked a means, which is the Pittsburgh Penguins mobile app. We had to pick something, so we picked one. The goal was to take fan engagement and turn it into brand activation, where essentially what we're saying is we're leveraging the real-time analytics of fan engagement and trying to convert that into sales for the brand and exposure for the brand. 3 sub-goals. I want repeat visits. I want fans to be able to visit Dick's retail stores more often. There are stats and numbers out there that say that if every single person who visited Dick's Sporting Goods store just paid one more visit during the year, that's tens of millions of dollars for Dick's. So essentially, we're trying for repeat visits. Sales, drive fans to purchase merchandise at Dick's stores more often. Brand loyalty and stickiness, make loyalty to Dick's Sporting Goods synonymous with loyalty to the team and loyalty to the players. That's really what we're trying for. So 3 sub-goals. I could have added more, but I'm trying to make this concise. So let's tell a storyboard here. Meet Sam. Sam is a native Pittsburgher who's been living on the West Coast. He decides to go back home, and he falls in love with the Pittsburgh Penguins all over again and decides he's going to get these game tickets, especially the cheaper tickets, and be able to go to games. He started to follow Evgeny Malkin, who's one of the famous Pittsburgh players. And as you can see at the bottom of this, you do have a little banner ad that's running there, but that's a fairly simple means of activation or exposure. But while he's at the game, Sam uses this Pittsburgh Penguins app. He learns more about his new favorite player. And notice for every stat, everything in the app, there's a tweet or like. With a one click, you can go out and share this information. Now, the cool thing is, as Sam consumes all the stats, the news, the video through this app, we're tracking every bit of it. Again, with his opt-in. We're tracking this and storing it as part of his profile. So here you see a live video that he's watching. You see at the bottom that the number of stars you can rate this is empty. Sam can decide he's going to rate it, and every time he rates it, he gets points for it. So he gets rewards points towards Dick's Sporting Goods merchandise. Just kind of cool. So for every fan-minded action, reading news, watching videos, sponsored videos, rating a camera angle, every one of those things, he earns reward points, which is important. He comes across a great sponsored interview with Malkin and decides he's going to share that on Twitter. You see the Twitter and the Facebook icon down here. And you see that this is also branded. It has a bug on the video from Dick's Sporting Goods, but he can share this on Twitter or Facebook. He goes ahead and posts it. One-click social media sharing, and automatically the hashtag for Dick's Sporting Goods shows up in his tweet, and he earns reward points for having tweeted it out. The moment he tweets this out, he gets more reward points, so he knows he can get more stuff. After sharing the video, he's reached about more reward points, maybe about 1,000 reward points that entitles him to a jersey discount. But remember, we're profiling Sam in some sense, so we know he's an Evgeny Malkin fan, so we throw out a jersey coupon for an Evgeny Malkin replica jersey, and it has a time fuse on it. In the next 24 hours, he has to run out and get this jersey. This forces him to have to go to the store. But Sam's behavior has identified him to be a Malkin fan, and we get a personalized offer sent to Sam. At the end of the game, his team wins. He's a happy camper, and he uses Rock Your Jersey to celebrate the victory. As he's rocking his jersey and putting it down in the right location, all the nearby Dick's Sporting Goods locations show up on his map. So he knows he can run over there and get it because, remember, he has a 24-hour fuse. This reminds him he should probably stop by there tomorrow before the coupon runs out and trade in his old jersey or get a new one. When he's checking out at Dick's, he realizes that he can sign up for one of their mobile loyalty programs, but because there's a partnership between the Penguins and Dick's Sporting Goods, their loyalty programs are combined, so essentially you can get one major loyalty program. You're a fan of the Penguins, you're a fan of Dick's Sporting Goods. So he gets to combine these two loyalty programs, so he's earning cross points. Associative upsell. We know now he's a Malkin fan, so clearly he must want a Malkin bobblehead. Why not? Right? So we decide the next time he's at a game, there's going to be a new Malkin bobblehead out in a week, so we want to let him know, hey, there's a new Malkin bobblehead sale. Would you like to pre-order? So with one click, he can pre-order on Dick's Sporting Goods. So this also allows him now to have associative purchases related to his jersey purchase, saves him time, ensures he gets his hands on this hot new item. Now, suppose this bobblehead thing reminds him of the fact that he doesn't have other Penguins bobbleheads. While he's in the venue, he can also, along with the beer finder, figure out where the Dick's Sporting Goods location is inside and go straight over there and use the intermission to sneak over there and get that product straight away. And this way, because he has an interactive map, he doesn't have to wait for instructions or walk around spending his time uselessly. Even on non-game days, he wants to be alerted of nearby Penguins events. There's an autograph session going on at a Dick's Sporting Goods store in the mall that he's at, and he gets a notification. Unfortunately, he's not wearing his jersey, but remember, he has a rewards program tied into it, so he can walk in, get a jersey 30% off, and now he's the happy owner of an autographed Malkin jersey. So these are just some of the touch points, not even all of them that I could cover in the time I had. So effectively, what we are doing is understanding fan behavior and inferring affinity to a player, to a specific location, to matchups between two teams. If the Penguins play the Capitals, maybe that's the most anticipated matchup for that fan. We're rewarding fans for being fans, tying loyalty to the Penguins to the store loyalty program, such as direct discounts, personalized offers, and associative upsell. Brand exposure, things like banner ads, which is the simplest thing that we could put in there. But along with that, one-click social media sharing for all media items, bugs on the video, 10-second commercial prior to a replay, which I couldn't show you, but I can. Location-based services, in-venue and out-of-venue drivers to the store. So specific brand touchpoints and activations, and all of these things are functional now. They're not just hypothetical. They actually work right now. And finally, that's my contact information. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions or if you're interested.
Priya, I'm going to have you stay here for about 2 minutes while the judges start questions. And just while you guys are doing that, Brian, if you, wherever you are, if you want to go and do any computer connection things while they're asking the questions, go ahead. Judges.
Go ahead.
Do we use this? Okay. I wanted to get a sense of the value that you're offering. So for that $500,000, are they getting a game, 2 games, 5 games, a season?
Excellent point. We've typically tied value to the actual value they got back. So it could be multiple games, it could be impression counts, it could be actual dollar value of sales. But typically what we do is we could sell 2 weeks of a playoff out. And especially since that's very interesting, we could sell the first 2 weeks of a season out. It really depends. Most of the time we've actually tied it back to the analytics we gather. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
And what's the experience outside the stadium?
Okay, the question was, what's the experience outside the stadium? Sorry. Outside the stadium, you can get news, photos, podcasts, anything that I said. The one-click stuff, all of that stuff applies. The only thing that stays inside is game time video, because we don't have the rights on that.
So that was part of my question. What is that additional reach? Do you have broadcast rights after game?
Okay.
What's the utility? What's my repeat usage?
Phenomenal question. The question was, do we have broadcast rights after the game? Depends on the league, depends on the team. I'll give you an example. With the Pittsburgh Penguins, we have the ability to stream their HD radio live 24/7, 365. That might not be there with every other team. The moment we had that in there, the number of downloads, the usage tripled. Because fans want to hear their local announcer calling the game even in Australia. Right? And so it really depends. It ends up being a case-by-case unless you go to the league and cut a deal there.
Quick question, Marshall?
One more question, sorry. So tell me a little bit, have you grabbed the microphone? What about potential ad conflict? For example, in the hockey game, there's tons of local advertisers, tons of sponsors that are paying for those eyeballs. Seeing the Dick's ad right over, say, a sports chalet, is that an issue? How do you deal with that?
Again, phenomenal question. What about ad conflicts? Well, for most of the advertisers or sponsors, the team brings them in. So they've kind of worked out the conflict, which is wonderful. We also have the ability to bring in sponsors, and then we take a look at the inventory of things that have not yet been sold. And then we have the ability to say, if you go ahead and do these specific things, this is the inventory left to sell. Our sponsor dashboard, which I haven't shown here because, again, some of that is sensitive, allows you to see what ad locations you still have, the dollar value of each of them, the frequency you can run them at, and also the resulting impression count and how much money you made back based on that in real time.
All right, I'm going to let Marshall have the first question for Brian after he presents for the next 10 minutes. Thank you, Priya. Thank you, judges, for your good questions.
You're on? Hello? All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Really excited to be here. Had a sort of press briefing today in the morning, whatever that meant, and that was a lot of fun. Really excited to finally share with the world what we are doing. We've been in stealth for about 7 months. We just received, actually, last week a Series A, and we're excited to be around for a while now to annoy you guys. So it should be a lot of fun. Kidding. So I just want to talk today really quickly about mobile games. So how many of you in this room at least know 1 or 2 people in your family or your friends that are clinically addicted to Angry Birds? Put up your hand. Oh my gosh. All right, awesome. And the people who didn't put up their hand either are very lame and don't own a smartphone. Kidding. So wanted to talk to you because we're realizing now that mobile games are a massive engagement opportunity and that there's everybody, a much more wider audience playing these things. It's not just gamers anymore. You don't just have teenage boys playing games. You have people who don't necessarily identify themselves as gamers playing these things. Moms, working professionals, all sorts of people, young and old. So we realized that this was a huge opportunity. For me, my whole genesis of the idea was I realized that a lot of the ways that these game developers were monetizing and that the ways that the ad models were working right now were to essentially chop off a piece of that screen. Let's just take a piece of that screen estate, let's just annoy you, let's have that really simple banner ad there, but it's still really annoying. And I don't remember the last time that anybody has ever tapped on a banner ad on their mobile phones on purpose. Just doesn't happen. I want to interrupt my game with this banner ad. So then we realized that games had these elements that made them games, like leaderboards, players, scores, game mechanics. But there was one that really spoke to me, and there was one that we found incredibly unique. And that's the achievement. Now, the achievement is the universal currency of accomplishment. The achievement is when you level up or when you get a top score, of course. But the achievement itself is not the cool part. It's actually the moment of achievement. That moment where you felt like you've accomplished something, that moment of euphoria. And that is the achievement moment. I put that animation there on purpose. So these things look really great and really familiar to everybody here. We've all hit these moments before. These are moments where we feel like we're happy, where it's finally tied to something that we felt like we've accomplished. So we're introducing today the notion of a moments-based ad model, where instead of taking pieces of real estate out of a screen and being there persistently, it's about taking moments, meaningful moments. And these moments are actually worth something. And a lot of advertisers have not figured out a way to truly leverage this. So our answer: real rewards for virtual achievements, leveraging existing games, leveraging existing popular games, and we're creating essentially an entirely new category. And so these existing popular games have millions of players playing in the mobile space right now, and at this very second, there are millions of achievement moments being hit, and you guys are missing out on it. So how are you going to be able to leverage that? Through real rewards. And so enter the concept of a rewards network. We are creating this as an entirely new ad model, and we're very excited to share what it's all about. And I have a quick video to show you exactly the mechanics.
Okay, we know that games have changed your life. We've seen you on your commute. We've stood behind you in line at Burger Town. We've seen the way you launch birds. And we know that mobile means you can stay connected to the games you love, the games you just can't put down, obviously. And you're not alone, you know. There's like a bajillion people out there right now, smartphone in hand, just launching birds and playing cards, solving puzzles, and pretty much not paying attention to a word we're saying right now. Okay, so what if you got rewarded for playing the games you love? At the big moments where you beat the unbeatable, do the unthinkable. What if sweet brands were there to congratulate you, reward in hand? Stuff like snacks and lattes and new threads, maybe even a cruise here and there. Just for doing what you're doing. Yeah. So we're Kiip. And basically, we think you should be rewarded for the effort you put into your gaming. Seriously, you spend hours a day on those things, risking broken fingers and carpal tunnel, and for what? To level up? So what if you won stuff too, at the big moments in the games you can't put down? Those achievement moments you're already reaching? Show of hands. Who would hate that? Love it? Really? All bajillion of you. Now that is interesting. Kiip. Reach them when they win.
So reaching them when they win is really the element that we're trying to tie into here. This is a winning moment, not to quote Charlie Sheen, but this is really where people feel like they're very much happy and euphoric and have accomplished something, and tying your brand to that moment is incredibly valuable. These are our launch partners. We announced this yesterday. These are our launch partner agencies on both WPP and IPG. Sorry, we have to give both of them the spotlight. And today we're going to talk about CPG and how we can help CPG. So let's just choose a brand that we're already working with. Sephora. They're a nice CPG. They have a new product. Let's say you want to launch a new product line. You have existing promotions. We're essentially creating a new channel for traditional promotions on the higher end that are actually worth something to be distributed through these achievement moment channels. And so you already have these promotions. You have the volume. You have the critical mass through these achievement moments, and we help the brands to enable that. So here's the control panel that we allow the brands to be able to essentially in real time manage their campaigns, track progress, and see the demographics of the users, of the people who actually are redeeming these things in the first place. You can set demographics. We allow targeting via genre because there are demographics that are associated with certain genres. For example, if you like sports games, you're most likely interested in sports. Also, we allow the brands to be able to set their campaigns and also be able to deploy rewards in real time. We use HTML5, which means that we're cross-platform off the get-go in iOS and Android, and even in the web. So the resulting effect is a very, very pretty-looking reward. So what is our mass right now? We currently reach 12 million monthly active users throughout our network of 15 titles in our games. We are deploying live all our campaigns this week, so if you start to see free stuff, don't complain. It's because of us. Thank you. And I'd like to show you and leave you with one final video. For too long, I think we've seen too much of a focus in the advertising industry on display and banner advertising.
Mobile advertising today is effectively a port of web-based advertising to mobile phones.
Most of the ads that are out there today, they take you out of the experience. They're really boring. It's the same stuff that we've seen for years.
Kiip is trying to take the other way around by realizing that sometimes in moments of joy and happiness, you have the ability to reach someone.
The achievement moment is when someone has reached a milestone in a game and they're excited and they feel good. If you can connect with them and tell them that you're proud of them and you want to reward them, that's bound to be interesting.
A promotion is a promotion when it's just handed to you. But when it's an earned promotion, when it's that earned feeling, you tie that to a reward and you have more of an affinity toward it. That's what makes the Kiip reward so unique.
It doesn't feel like an ad in any way. Like to the user, they're stoked. They've completed something, they've just gotten a new high score, something's happened, and they're prompted with just something for free.
It's a reward, it's a thank you, it's a gift that's different than a normal ad.
The idea behind the achievement, which is exactly when you're capturing the customer at that point of elation, to convert them into a brand advocate is great.
You're actually proud of what you're receiving. You're proud that you've unlocked this. It's not just, I got a good deal, it's that I did something special to get this good deal.
I think Kiip will make the advertising space a lot more fun, a lot more exciting.
Kiip is basically promising to bring a lot of innovation to traditional advertising.
Actually getting real physical rewards back to the user and discounts and whatever it may be is just really unique.
Kiip offers the promise to advertisers that customers are going to be paying more attention to their messages.
When you're hinging upon positive achievement moments by providing a reward and a gift and to help them realize that you actually care about them, you're building that trust in the beginning. I think there's nothing more powerful than that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. All right, so Shishir, if you want to work on your computer switcheroo, Marshall, go ahead.
I'm going to pass on this, actually. Yeah, I have complicated feelings about it that I'd love to discuss and maybe we'll write about.
I couldn't hear what you said, so I don't know if the audience did.
He has some feelings he wants to express to me.
But I'll do that. I'll do that in a more appropriate forum. Yeah. So I'll pass on this one.
Figure it out
All
tonight
right,
over
Kathleen
drinks.
or Jim, who wants to weigh in with some questions?
Okay, so just a couple logistical questions. One of the things you set up earlier was the kind of traditional banner ads take you away from the game. What's the experience to actually redeem? Is there a way to collect without actually moving away from my game? I've been offered a Pop Chips. Do I have to leave the game to get it? Enter an email address?
Great question. So you put in your, our whole process was to make it as frictionless as possible for all people involved. So when you put your email address in, you actually tap redeem and you go straight back to the game. And you are able to play the game comfortably knowing that the redemption information is sitting in your inbox. So we don't pass the email address to the brand. Our trust with the user and the genuine authenticity of this is when you get the email, all it is just one email with the redemption information, and that's it.
And how on the kind of couponing side of things, what technology are you using? Can it be kind of unique couponing? What are you guys doing on that side of the business?
So we let the brands choose their favorite redemption methods. Right now, for example, with Sephora, they have their own promo codes that they apply to their e-tailing presence, and so we are accommodating any type of redemption process that the brand prefers.
Okay.
Jim, quick question.
Yeah, how are you determining what ad to show me as a game player?
So we are demographic targeting depending on the game and the information that they're providing us. Also, when the system learns more about your gameplay behavior, like when you're playing, how often you're playing, what time of the day you're playing, where you're playing, these things we start to realize. And we also are able to tie it to the relative ability of the player. So to you, 1,000 points might be the highest score that you've ever gotten, but to someone else, it might be a walk in the park. So that ensures that a high-value reward is actually given to you based on your relative strength as a player.
Wow, that's cool.
And can advertisers kind of choose that level of challenge, if you will? Can I have a A-level reward, a B-level reward, and a C-level reward?
So it's tied to the value of your reward. So for example, in our current brand partners, Sony is giving away, a $100 tablet device. Of course, that's going to be tied to a really, really, really extreme achievement to the people who are hitting it. And then, of course, on the more lower end, you have vitamin water, you have Pop Chips, and you have Sephora, which we have the ability to tie to more frequent achievements.
And can those escalating rewards and achievements be tied? Can those be communicated throughout the game? I.e., 1 star in Angry Birds, Sony gives me a message saying, "Keep trying. If you get to this, you get this."
So we want to keep the experience sort of half and half of a serendipitous effect and also an expected effect. Because when we do just expected, then the purpose of playing that game becomes getting that reward. And that's also purposely the reason why we didn't announce our game partners off launch. We're slowly revealing the titles and our partnerships in the coming 3 weeks. So part of this right now is we want people to naturally be able to see these things, go, oh, wow, Kiip and these brands truly care about me. They don't want to annoy me. They don't want to tie something that I don't care about to my experience. I want to be happy. I want it to be relevant to my demographic. I want it to be relevant to the game that I'm playing.
All right, we're going to go on to hear about InstaMobile. Thank you so much, Brian. Shishir, tell us all about your company.
There is one burning question that the marketers of all the retail brands need to be asking themselves, that are they losing out on the customers who are shopping for their products via their smartphones? Because this burning question, my dear friends, is not just a $1 million question. It is a $119 billion question, because research shows that by the year 2015, mobile shoppers are going to be purchasing goods worth $119 billion via their smartphones. And the demographics of the people who are purchasing through the smartphones is any marketer's dream demographics. These are people in the age of their 25 to 34 years. They are twice more likely to make $100,000 per year, and these are the people who are socially connected. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Shishir, CEO of InstaMobile, and I'm here to present to you a very innovative product, InstaMobile, which was soft launched at the TechCrunch Disrupt conference last October, and which just about a fortnight ago won the Most Innovative Product Award at the New Jersey Technology Venture Conference. InstaMobile essentially helps the retailers to put their brands in the hands of their consumers. Many of you here must have used the native iPhone applications from Amazon or eBay or some online retailers like those. Using the InstaMobile platform, any online retailer or a brick and mortar store which has an online presence can get their very own native app, which their consumers can download onto their phones. For the purpose of this presentation, we have taken an example of how a leading brand like Macy's can enhance their brand value by leveraging the InstaMobile platform. As I mentioned earlier, using the InstaMobile platform, Macy's would get a native application which their customers could download onto their iPhones, iPads, and Androids. It is an end-to-end mobile commerce application in which you get all the functionality right from cataloging all the way to adding the products to the shopping cart, completing the checkout, and shipping it to the multiple addresses if they may choose, and also tracking their orders using the Macy's application. And since it's a native application, the experience of the user to interact with the brand and the application is exceptionally rich. And it is very intuitive for any consumer to essentially look for the products that they are wanting to buy. They can browse on the Macy's application for the products or for the categories. They can even do a search based on a very sophisticated advanced search capabilities. They could type in the product or the category and search for it. And once they have figured out some products which they have browsed through, they could even see the recently viewed products and categories. We all realize that all these leading brands send out flyers to their consumers in mail or via email, but how powerful it would be for Macy's to be able to push these deals out to their customers right at the time when they are ready to interact with their brand, right at the time when they are ready to make the purchase. So they can do that right here from the Macy's app, which is powered by InstaMobile. And and we have also made it fun for them to get the next deal. You just have to shake the device and get the next deals. It's kind of exciting and fun way to get to that ad. You all must have also experienced a phenomenon that when you walk into a McDonald's or Subway to buy a burger or a sub, the person at the checkout, at the cash register would ask you, would you like to add some French fries, some potato chips, maybe some cookies or soda to your order? And more than likely you would say, yes, please go ahead and add a couple of those things. We enable Macy's to do just that right from their application. When a person is making a purchase, we are enabling Macy's to push out an offer like that, okay, you're buying a bag for your wife. Would you like to buy a perfume? Would you like to add a watch to the gift that you're buying for your wife? So this is very powerful. You're able to push the deals or the promotions right at the time when the person is making the purchase. We all are highly sophisticated buyers, and especially when it comes to making high-value purchases, we trust a lot, when we rely a lot on the feedback that other consumers of the same product have left. How often we must have walked into a Best Buy or Macy's, liked a product, and think, how is this product actually, is it good or not? And you go back home, go online, check the reviews, and then probably decide to purchase that. What we have enabled here is that using the Macy's application, if you are in a Macy's store, you could, instead of going back home, you could actually search for that product on your mobile device using that app and make a decision of purchase right then and there. You don't have to be in the store necessarily, but even when you are making the purchase on using the device from the comfort of your home, or when you are moving around, you could see the user ratings as well as read the review comments that the other users have left, feel confident, and interact with the brand Macy's and make the purchase from that store. We live in a highly socially connected world, and we like to share things with our friends and family. We realize that, and we have built this ability for the users to share the things from the Macy's app, within the Macy's application. If you come across a deal which you know someone in your family or your friend circle is probably looking for, you can quickly share it with them via their Facebook or Twitter or email. If you come across a product which you personally like and you would like to get the opinion of your friends and family, you could quickly share that on Facebook or Twitter and email and get the feedback of the people whose opinion you care about and make your decision of purchase at that time. We also enable users to share the Macy's app itself with their friends and family, creating a viral effect for Macy's to reach out to increasing number of consumers who are using mobile applications. And we are at AdTech conference. How could we not be talking about advertising in the applications? Our InstaMobile product comes integrated with a sophisticated ad engine using which Macy's can run highly interactive ad campaigns, which includes video ads, HTML5 ads, banner ads within the application. They can also increase their revenue by selling these ad spaces, which are available across the application to leading brands and generate more money out of them. All these brands like Macy's and other retailers would typically change the look and feel of their online websites based on the seasonality of their sales. Like if they're introducing a spring collection or fall collection or around the Christmas time, they would change the look and feel of their website. We have enabled Macy's to change the look and feel of their mobile device also on the fly, just so that it is coherent with their mobile application, with their online branding efforts. And there is no need for them to be resubmitting the application. As soon as the user launches their app the next time, they see an absolutely fresh look and feel of the app without having to do any further efforts. We have also, InstaMobile comes integrated with a highly sophisticated analytics tool using which the brand marketers at the Macy's can get very, very in-depth insights into the consumer behavior of their users who are interacting with their app, and then they can devise razor-sharp marketing programs highly tailored to those individual users. They can figure out which geography are the users accessing their application from, how many new users have they acquired, which devices are they accessing the application from, how frequently they are using, what is the time spent, which products are they viewing, how often, which are the products they have purchased, if at all there is they abandon the transaction, where are they abandoning the transaction, and which ads are being clicked, promotions that they are availing. So very, very sophisticated analytics to devise razor-sharp marketing programs. We essentially help the Macy's brand to stick. Research shows that the consumers who download a native application from a retailer tend to interact with the brand more often, and they tend to buy the products also from that brand more often and at a higher price point. And since we are helping Macy's to increase the sales as well as the margins, it quickly justifies the return on investment. And the best part is, if Macy's was to try and do this application build out themselves, they would be spending a few months to do it. Whereas with InstaMobile, we could get them up and running with their own native app for as little as just 3 days. And this is a market which no retailer can avoid or can neglect. So what are you waiting for? Go out there and get your brand to go mobile. Reach out to InstaMobile. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shishir. All right, judges, let's do some questions as Mark from Goby comes up and gets ready to present.
I have a question from the perspective of the potential customer. How is the decision made? There's time to market, and presumably cost is substantially lower. But at what point are those or other factors so significant that a big brand like Macy's decides not to just build their own app? How does that consideration play out?
Well, there is always a build versus buy kind of a decision which any brand has to make. Why would you use a Microsoft Office? You could obviously build that, but you wouldn't do that because it doesn't make sense to build it when it is available right off the shelf. Because in this market, speed to market is extremely important. If Macy's was to do it, we have been building this product for 9 months. If Macy's was to do that, do they really want to wait for 9 months to get the application when they can do it in three days? And not only that, all the operating systems on the mobile phones keeps on changing every now and then. So there is a continuous upgrade effort also required. We take care of all of that because it's a fully managed solution that we are offering in the SaaS model.
Kathleen?
On the ad side of things, is that an advertiser controlled ad platform? Meaning, I'm choosing the ads that are appearing on that app per page. Can I contextually target? I don't necessarily want a watch ad with my women's handbags. How much control does the advertiser the brand have on that?
Macy's could control 100%, has 100% control as to on which page, which ad to show, how many insertions to show. There is, they can control it completely. And if they don't have a specific ad which they want to show and they just want to show a random ad, that also is possible for them to do that.
And is there a full ad server behind that?
Yes.
Okay. Second question is, what kind of back-end systems? Is there a universal login? Can you tie in with the online store, all of the customer database that exists beyond the mobile app?
Right now, we are interfacing with 4 major open source e-commerce platforms like Magento, Zencart, OS Commerce, and I blanked out on the 4th one. But we've got 4 platforms with which we are integrating right now. And if somebody is using other platform, we are also working on introducing about 5 or 6 more platforms we are working with. And we could also integrate with the custom e-commerce backends and fetch the data from that.
Okay.
I have to be strict right now. It's so hard for me. No, not really. We're going to go on to, thank you so much, Shishir. We're going to go on to Mark at Goby. So he's got time to do his presentation, and the judges can have a few minutes then to huddle and discuss, and then the winner.
Hi, I'm Mark. You guys hear me okay? Mark, I'm the CEO of Goby. We're an inspiration engine for finding things to do in your free time. So you probably had the experience of sitting around on Friday night with your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend asking yourself the age-old question of, hey, what are we going to do this weekend? And not really having a good way to answer that question. You know, whether you're trying to find that great hiking trail or that cool concert by your favorite artist this weekend, this information is scattered all over the web. It's impossible to find. It's completely disorganized. And yet our free time is one of the most precious assets that we have. And we're trying to help you make the most of that. So the reason why it's hard to find this stuff is the existing tools that are out there really aren't designed for the job. Local search is designed to help you find dentists. You know, you're not going to go into Google Maps to find a concert. Social networks are great for connecting with your friends and playing Farmville, but you're not going to go into Facebook to find a great hiking trail. You might think about going to travel sites to solve this problem, but they're really focused on, you know, that great casino at Las Vegas and Disney World in Orlando. They're really focused on major markets and tourist destinations. They're not focused on that cool event that's going on at your local library. And then the final problem is when you're trying to solve this problem, 9 times out of 10, you're trying to solve it on this little 3-inch screen we call a mobile phone, and it's really hard to get access to good information on your phone. So what are we doing about that? So the first thing we're doing is we're providing discoverable hyperlocal content, everything from the U2 concert that's playing at the big arena near you down to the storytelling session that's going on at your local library. So if you're a mom and you want to know what's going on in your hometown, we can tell you about that. And in a discoverable way. We're not going to make you hunt and peck for it. We're going to give you tools to leverage your social network in the context of that content so that I can use this content to drive conversations with my friends. We're going to give you access to all those great local events and recommendations, and we're going to make it really easy for you to get to that through your mobile phone with just a couple of quick taps. So that's what we do for consumers. You guys are probably mostly marketers. How do we help you? Well, you know, I think what Brian said is exactly right. It's about those special moments, right? As a marketer, that's when you want to get to people. One of those special moments is when you're making a decision. What am I going to do this weekend? What bar am I going to? What hiking trail am I going to? What concert am I going to see? And as marketers, you want to get to people when they make that decision. So on mobile devices, that decision time is really, really short. People get on their phones, they make a decision, and they get out. So you need to be in front of them when they're making those decisions and not when they're reading their news on, you know, the CNN newsreader, right? Because they're not thinking about decisions then. You need to get to them when they're making those decisions. So I want to step you through really briefly what Goby's about so that when we talk about what we can do for our hypothetical automotive company called Subaru, you'll have some grounding for that. We do 4 main things for you. We let you find things. We let you save them away so that you can reference them later. We let you share them with your friends, and then we help you curate those things. So I might be looking for a jazz concert in New York City, so you can see up on the screen. If I do a search for jazz in New York City next weekend, you'll get a really great list of jazz concerts. No extraneous stuff, very targeted, but very comprehensive. We'll let you save those things away. So you're riding the subway to work, you find out about this concert, you save it away so that you can come back to it later. Or you're traveling and you experience this great restaurant, you can save it away so you can come back to it later. We let you share this stuff so that you can, you know, maybe you had a great experience and you want to share it with your friends, or maybe you're thinking about a great experience. Should I go see Eric Clapton? Have you ever seen him? So you can post this stuff out to social media in a way that's meaningful with the content attached to it. And then finally, you can curate. You can build great lists of things. You can share them with your friends, or if you're a brand, you can make these lists. So here's a list of great jazz venues in New York City that, if you're going to New York City and you like jazz, you should check out one of these places. And so when we talk about some of the things that we can do for a brand, we're going to come back and use this machinery of these custom lists, and we'll see that in just a minute. So let's talk about Subaru. So that's the brand we're going to talk about and how we can help them. So what's the brief? We're going to help them launch a new SUV line this summer. We're going to help them, in addition to obviously raising awareness of this new vehicle, help them associate their brand with all these fun activities, this active lifestyle. That's the brand image they want to convey. We're going to give them a way to connect to audiences through social media so that they can actually participate in the conversation. I think every brand I talk to is the number one question: how do I participate in social media in a way that's genuine, that doesn't feel spammy? And our belief is that you need to do that in the context of meaningful content that people care about. And then finally, we're going to help drive people into the dealership to check this new SUV out and do some test drives. We're going to run the program this summer. We're going to target every place in the United States, but focus on major DMAs. So what are the key elements of the program? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to let them have 100% share of voice in the Goby app, and we're going to use the location-based nature of the device and the content so that they can do very creative location-based media. We're going to give them access to this hyperlocal content that they can own. I'll show you some examples of that in a minute. What do I mean by that? Again, we're going to give them a way to participate in social media, create a dialogue around their brand, around interesting and meaningful concepts. And then once the program's over, we're going to give them private label apps so that they can continue to have a relationship with a customer after the Goby program is over. So let's talk about the app sponsorship for just a minute and what would that look like. So you can see here, it's the Goby app, but it's got the Subaru brand woven into it. It doesn't feel spammy. It's clear that Subaru is sponsoring it, but they're associating themselves with this interesting content, and it's done in a very sort of mild way. They can, people see the brand, they associate it with all this content. So every weekend when you pop this app open to find out, hey, what am I going to do this weekend, the brand's going to be there and you're going to be aware of them. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to introduce a specific category of content. So we cover 350 different categories of content, everything from hiking trails to concerts to comedy events to author speaking events, just about anything you can imagine. We're going to introduce a new category for Subaru, the road trip category. We're going to have hundreds of road trips all across the country that people can browse and see integrated into the experience. So this unit, I think the other thing Brian said is very true. Banner ads are passe. People don't necessarily want them. That Subaru road trip series, you might, as an advertiser, you may think that looks like a banner ad. We just ran a program like this for the Travel Channel, 15% click-through rate on that. I mean, that's not your 0.1% click-through rate that you see of accidental clicks on banner ads, right? People want this content. They're willing to engage with it. And if the brand's associated with it, that's fine. It's not a problem. The other thing that we can do, if you notice the ad unit, which I think is not highlighted down at the bottom, where it says the nearest dealership is 2.5 miles away in Napa, so I'm looking at this road trip up to Napa. This ad unit can be aware of location and category, and the creative in this ad is dynamic. So when you crack open your phone, that ad unit's actually calling home to find out where the nearest Napa dealership is, and we can do the same thing for Applebee's or McDonald's or any other brand who's got physical store locations. And so those ad units can actually be meaningful and helpful to people. I just want to give you a sense for what this looks like on the web. We're not a pure play mobile company. We're web and mobile because we believe that there's a life cycle of experience where people are researching things. Maybe they're researching on the web, then they're out doing with their phones. And so you can see the same concept embedded in our browse tree on the website. The other thing I'll point out, I'll come back to it in a minute, down there on the bottom right, you'll see an interesting ad unit with a map. There's actually an interactive ad unit. You can move it around, you can drill into it, and it will actually lead you to road trips, and we're going to come back to that in just a minute. So I was talking about social media. I want to talk about how you can generate a dialogue here. So I'm in the Goby app. I found this great road trip up to Napa, and maybe I want to find a friend to go with me. Maybe I want to ask people for their advice. Hey, last time you went to Napa, which vineyards did you go to? I can actually generate dialogue in Facebook about this road trip. It's authentic for me. It feels authentic for the brand, right? The brand's brought me this really interesting content. They're not hawking me a car. They're giving me interesting value, and people will engage in this kind of content. So we're a small startup compared to the big guys, and we were given this interesting challenge of how do we spend $500,000. You are going to want to distribute this experience outside of Goby. So as part of this program, we'll reach about 1 million people directly on Goby. We can reach another 5 to 10 million people by distributing this experience out through other properties. So, for example, that creative unit there, again, it's an interactive ad. You can interact with it. We can distribute that through search retargeting to people who are maybe thinking about buying a new car, getting people who have car interests, and get this ad in front of other people who maybe haven't visited Goby yet. But this ad with this interactive experience will bring people into the Subaru experience. The last thing I want to talk about is the private label app. So we can basically take the Goby app and produce a version of it that's 100% Subaru. There's no Goby brand here. It's owned by the brand. They can integrate their own content into this, whether it be user manuals or whether it be maintenance information if they want through simple HTML5 integration. But they've got a permanent asset that they can use, high-value content that they can continue to have a dialogue with their customers after the program is over. So just in summary, what did we do? So we gave them 100% share of voice program so that they're persistently associated with this high-value content associated with people's free time, which is one of the things they really prize. We've given them a way to associate their brand with this high-value content, the road trip content or interesting events. We've given them a way to talk to their customers through social media in a meaningful way, and we've given them a way to continue that conversation over the long term. And then the last thing I'd say is we're a young, hungry startup like everybody else up here. We'll do lots of things for a deal. I'm perfectly happy to jump in a car and live blog a road trip across the country in this new SUV they're putting out. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Mark. All right, so let's give Mark some questions quickly from our judges. And while you guys are doing that, I'm going to have Priya, Shishir, and Brian just come back up on stage. You guys think of a couple questions for them, and we'll get to that shortly.
Can you tell me where does the activity content come from? Can an activity sponsor? Sorry, it's a three-parter. Can an activity sponsor a listing, and then how do you balance the money from the edit?
So the question is, where does the content come from? The content, the vast majority of the content in Goby comes from the web. So we're a search engine. We crawl the web. We find this content. We organize it. So everything you saw was automatically produced by our engine. Brands or us can actually add content and can edit content themselves. And so if a brand has content they particularly want to get into the system or sponsor, they can do that. There's a way for them to enter it. And then your question is how are the costs allocated in the program?
Well, I'm sorry. It's really about, like, you had a Monticello vineyard
yes.
in your. Did they pay for that?
They did not.
Can they?
Yes.
Okay.
So as more and more hyperlocal and events data becomes structured and available on the web, does it become a commodity? And what's your unique value proposition to users? What's your barrier to entry?
So the question is, with more and more structured data becoming available, sort of fundamentally, what's our differentiator? I would argue that it's actually going to be quite a while before all of this content is readily available in structured form. I mean, if you think about even events data, it's wildly fragmented, and it's not necessarily available in structured form. The economic incentives for most of the owners of the data is often not aligned with producing structured data. So I think it's going to be another decade before a critical mass of content is available in that form. I also think there's a flip side of that, which is until there are engines that can actually use that kind of structured content, people don't have the incentive to do it. And so sites like us, like Foursquare, a lot of these other new age companies that are leveraging this structured data are creating an environment where there's more value for people to produce that structured content. So, but I think in the next 5 years, I don't see that as a competitive threat for us.
Everything good from the judges? All right, so now it's now you guys get to think while I take this. Well, I'm going to take that in a minute. Okay. Too much mechanical stuff going on. Okay, so audience, now it's your turn to. I'm going to hand this to you guys. Now it's your turn. Questions for our wonderful new startups up here. We've got probably about 2 or 3 minutes of questions as the judges think and pontificate and consider. Oh, over there. Do you want to repeat that?
Yeah, so I think the question was, how do we consider ourselves different from Yelp? So I think that perhaps outside of San Francisco, if you ask people what Yelp is, and no, I love Yelp, I'm a great fan, it's a restaurant site. That's how people think about it, even though they do have some of this other content. I think if you start to look for really deep events information, concerts, hiking trails, beaches, I think that starts to break down outside a few major metro areas. So if you're vacationing in Richmond, Virginia, I think that Yelp's not necessarily going to solve that problem. At least that's our perspective on it.
Go ahead, follow up. Okay. Shishir, just repeat the question before you answer it.
Okay, the question is Magento, which is an open source e-commerce platform, they have their own iPhone app, and according to him, apparently the other open source platforms are also coming out with their own the platform similar to this. So what's the benefit of having InstaMobile in place? Well, Magento definitely does have their own app that more or less actually validated the business model that we have. The difference being between Magento and the other companies is that Magento is a for-profit organization, whereas if you look at ZenCart and OS Commerce, it's a kind of fragmented team. And so we are a lot of people are providing services on top of these open source platforms. That's exactly what InstaMobile is also doing. And a lot of other projects which are in this space are not providing a native application kind of a platform. They are providing a reskinning kind of a solution, which is more like a web app kind of a situation, which does not have that great a user interface, and it does not have all the functionality and the analytics that we have built into InstaMobile.
I'm pleased to announce that the judges are ready. So they're going to come up on stage for just a moment and give you some final comments on the companies. And then we have this wonderful thing. Here, come stand over here so the audience can see you.
Oh, okay.
And you guys can share the mic.
Do I get to announce it then?
Works for me.
Do you get to, or do you have
Oh,
to?
no, I get to. There you go. So, tough decision. We picked Yincam. We picked Yincam because, for a variety of elements, but I think the most important to me, and then we'll pass the microphone around, is that Yincam used every aspect of mobile and the mobile experience and the value of mobile to provide value for a marketer or for an advertiser. So they're using location-based, they're using commerce, they're integrating advertising, and really using the data to provide value in those ways as well. And speaking as a hockey fan, anything that puts me closer to that puck that's moving 100 miles an hour around the screen and is this tiny is something that I'm fully behind, although a Flyers fan.
Marshall, Kathleen, let's hear from you.
It did.
Well, I'm really excited about Yincam as well because I thought it was the most compelling for end users and potentially the most disruptive of a particular industry. I would love to see independent mobile developers provide so much value that that broadcast rights got called into question and redistributed.
I loved all the companies. Thank you all for your time. Yincam to me stood out just because it was a true representation of mobile enhancing the real world, and that's kind of the bottom line.
Well, thank you all for coming. I want to thank all of the companies as well. Everyone here is really terrific. That's why they were invited, and we're delighted that you had a chance to get to know some of these new, emerging, exciting companies.